Facebook hates us.
Facebook
LinkedIn already does hate us.
Facebook doesn't care about you one way or the other.
It doesn't care about me. They just want my money.
Not even a little.
Welcome to the Backpack Show, where somehow the plane takes off. It really does.
Hello, I'm Michelle. Welcome to the Backpack Show, where we bring you insights into success from unusual places, deconstruct other people's success stories so you can apply those lessons to your business and your life and achieve your own personal goals.
Woo! Man, I feel excited when you say it. We have incredible guests. You picked both guests today, and they're so fun. I'm so excited.
And I'm so excited. So we have two. We have the godmother of drumming, Dorothea Taylor. She started playing drums at 13, and she is amazing. She's been playing percussion now for 57 years. So we're going to talk with her about all sorts of things. I know you have a lot of drumming questions. And we're going to talk with Lara Maiklem, the London Mudlark. She's the author of a book called Mudlarking. I didn't even know what mudlarking is, and I'm not going to spoil it for you now, but it sounds like an incredible amount of fun, actually. And you can learn quite a bit that way. So we're going to talk with Lara about mudlarking.
Have you ever wondered what things lurk below this? Oh, it's going to be so fun today. But we're starting with drumming. So let's start with some heavy metal music, shall we?
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. This is going to be...
You were having one of your chats backstage that makes me worried. Like, sometimes you get so into it before we even start that I worry that the whole time you're just going to be like chit-chatting through the private chat and stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Everybody wants to be Dorothea Taylor and Lara Maiklem. You can't be like chatting backstage about drumming.
I can't hog them.
Yeah, we're going to dig deep. Oh, Chip, I just got that.
Oh, dear.
Got it.
All right, so let's get in the rhythm, shall we? We have Dorothea Taylor, the godmother, Jesus, of drumming, and we are going to have so many questions.
You know what they told me when I joined band in school was play the flute. You're a girl.
Right. Well, let's start there. Did you get to pick drums, or did someone say, you should be a piccolo player, Dorothea? Welcome on board. Dorothea, you're here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. I believe it or not, I never played drums in school in band. I tried out for a band in 6th grade, and I was given a saxophone. So I played it for a little bit until my father had major stomach surgery, and so he was out of work. And you had to make monthly payments on the instrument, and we couldn't. And I remember crying because they came and they took my saxophone away. So I never even finished up the 6th grade year back then. But then, like I've told in several interviews, that I started at 13 because I knew that I was a drummer inside. I just watched all the drummers on TV, on Ed Sullivan's show, and Johnny Carson always had Buddy Rich. And so I always watched the drummers as I was growing up. So I had the rhythm. I knew that I wanted to do it. And if we had not had a drum and bugle corps in my small hometown of Upper Michigan, I probably wouldn't, I know I probably wouldn't be where I am now. So I had 6 years in the drum and bugle corps with extensive, intensive, rudimental training. And so that gave me enough. I bought a drum, or my father bought a drum set when I was in 11th grade. And I remember sitting down, we set it up in the living room. I sat down and just played because I had been air drumming and playing in drum parts to all the bands that were out in, the 60s. I can't even remember, I don't know if it was, I guess maybe the Beatles and things like that, Zeppelin. So I already knew how to play the drums when I sat down, and my parents were like, how do you know how to do that? Well, because I had been listening and I had the extensive rudimental training, and I just knew what to do. But like we were talking before the show started, the independence with the feet, I did have to work on that a little bit because I was just used to marching with left and right hand. And I had to, get the bass drum and the hi-hats in there. But so I've been playing ever since 8th grade.
One of the early names you mentioned was Buddy Rich. And if you said to me, quick, name a drummer or I'll shoot you, I would have said Buddy Rich. That's the first guy that comes to mind. And what I think about when I think about Buddy Rich isn't just how fast he could get, but how happy he looked the whole time he played. Do you feel that in any way that drummers have a different kind of soul than the rest of any band?
I think they do. I really do. It's just, there's something different about if you're a drummer versus, a guitar player. I can't explain it, but yes, I agree. There's a little bit of something different.
What are the people who influence you now? Because the reason that people seem to keep coming to you is the novelty of ageism, but that's not how you're performing. You just play the stuff you play and you play the things you like, which turn out to be of note and interest to people. How do you pick the songs you like right now?
Well, for one thing that came to my mind is for 10 years, I worked in one particular music store, and that was, I know that I bought a new car in like 2000 or 2001, and I was at the music store. So, it's been 21 years at least, but I was there before that. So I was with the local people, all the local bands, because Myrtle Beach has bands in every, venue. And so I was around a lot of drummers. So I always tried to keep up with what they were playing, the latest. And I started buying Modern Drummer magazine. So I always kept up with the gear, and so that I could help the local drummers purchase what they needed. And so I just got to be like a specialist, if you want to call it, in advising what they would need for that type of music, because you don't play a particular ride cymbal, just one ride cymbal. There's a ride cymbal for jazz. There's a ride cymbal for hip hop. There's a ride cymbal for heavy metal. So I got to know equipment. And so then I got to know bands that they were featuring, in their live shows. So then I started searching and paying attention and listening to different channels on my car radio. So I've just always tried to keep up with what was happening in this on the music scene. And just being a drummer, if I see or hear a song like 21 Pilots, who my age would listen to 21 Pilots, but they had such fun songs. I don't know what their latest thing is, but they just were like a cute pop band, but I kept up with them, and along with all kinds of other bands. And my grandson, he loved 21 Pilots, which kind of helped influence me. But I've just always tried to be current. I always listen to pop radio just to see who the current bands are, and then funk and fusion. So just because I love it all. In
the background, I have you when you're playing Down with the Sickness for your Drumeo. Yep. But the crowd is begging for a little quick demo of you doing some stuff. So can you give us a minute or two on the skins, as the kids would say?
Okay. So guys that are wanting this, just think about, I'm not mic'd for this, and I just have in-ear. So hopefully it won't be too distorted. So
I know as an
here's
artist,
my vintage Rogers kit here. So I don't know how much you can see. Let me pull this down a little bit. Oops.
Don't break it.
There it is.
That's fun.
Hey!
Talk to us about TikTok. When were you like, I need to be on TikTok? When did you get on TikTok? You just mentioned how you like to stay current, but
my grandson. I know. Oh, my grandson, because he's in 6th grade now, and so I think I got on it though, maybe a year. I might be on it a year now. And he said, "Grandma, you need to be on TikTok." And he started showing me different people who had gone viral and everything. And so I just put up a couple of videos, and I have one video that has 4.4 million views. And then there's 2 other ones that have 2 million. And I think one or two that have 1 point something million. So I have like 257,000 or so followers on there. So it's just been a wild
like my
ride
kids.
because
my kid's very focused on follower count and view count.
Well, I mean, it is one way to look at how many people are paying attention. Dorothea, there are a bunch of people who are even in their 30s thinking they're too old to do something. And I know that not only is the practice of drumming just what you do, you talk just a little bit to those people who maybe are worried that they're too old for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. I have students now. I've been teaching virtually really through this whole COVID. And I have a lady who is 72, I believe. Then I have a mother of 4 kind of young children. And she is in her 40s, and she is taking drum lessons. And now since she started drum lessons, she is taking some classes at the college. And I think she's 46 or so. And I have a couple of other ladies that are, I know, 50-ish. And they're doing really, really well. But if you start when you're younger, I think it's easier to learn and develop your hands a little quicker when you're younger than, when you're older, but you can still do it. It can still be done. So there's always room for practice pads. This is one of the practice pads. Just get a pair of sticks and start learning. You don't have to buy a whole big drum set. Just make sure that you like what you're doing first, and just play singles and doubles and find out what it takes. It takes, really hours a day practicing. If you're really into it and you want to get it done. If you're only practicing 15, 20 minutes, you can get it done, but it's just going to take you longer. So the more time that you have, just like if you were playing guitar and you wanted to really, go up and down the fretboard like crazy, heavy metal, you have to spend time. Those guys that do that, they're in their bedrooms after school and for hours before they go to bed. They might go to bed at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, you're not
kidding.
Then
all day Saturday, all day Sunday. That's all they do. And that's how they learn, and they get fast and good. So it's the time spent doing these things. But yes, if you love or would love to be a drummer, do it. Do not say when you're old, "Oh, I wish I had taken up drums." Just do it.
I wish that I could, because I might. Right now I play guitar, and I really enjoy paying my kids back for all the things they made me listen to when they were little, and make me listen to currently. They'll watch those like histrionic YouTubers like Dan TDM, and I'm hearing "no" like really loud in my house at all hours. I would love to just play the drums just for them. Be like, now you get to listen to this.
But that's a difference too. Is I was thinking about the story of when you said you got your first kit and how it was back then, and that to mute a kit back then was a matter of pillows and tape and some other toys that are a little less polite to a drum. But now with electric drums, not that there's any comparison, although they're getting better. With electric drums, you can just sit there with your headphones on and you're not bothering a soul. So I guess it's even better these days, because at least there's the opportunity.
I want to bother people. What is the point? Hey, Michelle, take up drums.
Michelle says she'd like to take up drums again, so I think she should.
I think so. A lot of people love what you're doing. They're just telling, keep it up. awesome drumming.
I'm seeing, yeah.
So a lot of good
And I
comments.
saw something quickly flash, muscle memory. And
Yes.
playing, it is muscle memory, and it's called stick control. And the more you do it, the more your muscles remember. And
Chris, you have really good
so,
stick control.
Some of my students said, well, now how do you know if you're playing a song, do you have it planned in your head that you're going to play a paradiddle or a double paradiddle? No, it's because all those things are just implanted in my brain. And so I'm playing, I'm listening, I'm watching the bass player, I'm listening to the lead singer just to, keep track of everything that's going on stage. And when I throw a fill in there, it's just muscle memory. And it's not something, okay, now I'm going to do a triplet Radamacue or whatever.
We had a question, who's your favorite drummer now? Like, what are some of the drummers that you really admire who are drumming now?
Yeah. There are so many, because on Instagram, if you just go in under hashtag drummers now, oh my goodness. But Benny Greb, he's German, and he's one of my favorite now because his technique is totally different than Buddy Rich. It's different. Everyone has their own differences, different styles, even though they're playing the same instrument, they're playing drums. Everyone has a little bit of difference, but he's really cool, and he just comes up. He's very innovative. He'll get down on his knees and blow air into the air hole, and it changes the pitch. There he is. He's so good. I love him.
Is he your favorite? Nazim was asking if you could pick just one. Is he your favorite?
Oh, I can't pick one. But
nobody can pick just one.
Today I'll pick Benny, because if you watch his style, see, just scrolling across the toms into the snare, he just has a different flair about him. There's his feet. Oh, I want to turn that on and listen to it right now. He's just so good.
We'll play just a little and see if I get.
Look at the feet on him.
Oh, he's just so awesome.
And look at that. He got the audience to play with him, which is a terrifying idea. But,
Guys are having chit chat. Rex wants to know, who are some of the famous rock stars or bands you've played with?
Oh, have you played with anybody famous?
Well, no, I haven't. I really haven't. But I have to say that no, it's too late now. I was on stage with Ray Charles. I have to brag on that because he's really one of the only famous people. He came to town and did a concert, and he just brought his a trio or quartet, music director, keyboard, bass. They brought their drummer, but we in the symphony orchestra that I was in had to fill in all the background stuff, and so I played auxiliary percussion. So I got to be on stage with Ray Charles. That's my claim to fame. That's the only one.
Love it.
Well, I think it's coming, Dorothea.
Could still happen.
Find you on TikTok,
late, but I don't think it's too late. Dorothea Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the Backpack Show and sharing with us. That was so much fun today. Stick around if you can. We're going to do a little bitty panel at the end, so stick around if you can backstage. There's some drinks over there. There's some peanuts. Have a good old time. We're going to bring
allergy-free green room. If we actually
we're going to bring Lara Maiklem up in a minute, and you are going to learn about what is mudlarking. But right before we do that, I have to do something really quick, which is ads, which I have yet to master putting them at the beginning of the show, like I said I would. So, hey, make a show. See brogan.me/StreamYard. You could have famous drummers on your show if you could make a show. See brogan.me/StreamYard.
Bring your own drums.
Bring your own drums. Authors. So we have a famous Sunday Times best-selling author, Lara Maiklem, on. If she didn't have a website, she could make one so fast because this is PubSite, pub-site.com, a website for authors. 14-day free trial, $20 a month. Even if you don't feel like making the thing, it only takes a couple hours to make your own website on there. But if you didn't feel like it, you could pay them $499 US, Lara.
Crazy. Yeah,
so
US.
crazy.
So it's even less expensive for you.
That's right. That's like 14 pounds. We are still currently sponsored by Johnsonville, maker of delicious sausage products. If you haven't had enough sausage in your life, get some Johnsonville. Kerry will even mail you some free sausage.
I like Instacart it. I don't mail sausage as a rule. It's perishable.
You don't go to the U.S. Postal Service with
I do not.
Oh.
No, it took a month for me to get some of the holiday cards people send me. So I think I will not mail Johnsonville brats if it's all the same to you.
It's all the same to me.
Especially not to Lara Maiklem in London. That would be
grab
crazy.
Lara. That would be a good timing. I've been thinking about it because we were asking, do we pronounce it Lara, like Lara Croft, or Lara? U.S. people say Lara, and doubly so in Massachusetts. You ever meet a Tara? You ever meet a Tara in Boston? Tara. They hate us all. So we have Lara Maiklem. Then no one knows, Lara. No one knows what mudlarking is. So this is a virgin. This is a virgin sand.
It's a best-selling book called Mudlarking. Somebody knows what it is.
Someone bought it.
We just didn't.
Hello, Hi, Lara.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. First of all, what is mudlarking and how did you discover it?
Well, I'll start off and tell you what mudlarking is. It's the Thames in London is tidal, so twice a day the tide goes down and you can get onto the riverbed, which means that you can go down there and you can look for all the objects, the lost and forgotten objects that have been lost over 2,000 years, really, or more, of history. So you literally go down onto the foreshore twice a day and search around for the things that people have lost and thrown away. And you can find the most incredible things, going right back to prehistory through to today. People are still throwing things away, dropping things. And I found the most incredible things down there and wrote a book about it.
Any drumsticks?
Not yet. No, I'm still looking for a drumstick.
No drumstick. Well, wood would be kind of tricky under there, but there's probably some wood's been preserved. Does the mud preserve things?
The mud does. It's anaerobic. That's the beauty of the Thames. The mud is anaerobic, which means that you don't get any oxygen in there, which means that it doesn't break down organic materials. So wood and leather and even cloth fabric can be perfectly preserved. So, I've pulled medieval shoes out of the mud that were as pristine as the day they went in. As you look inside and you can see the footprints, the little toe prints and the heel prints of the original owner's feet. It really is quite incredible. It's like, almost reaching back through time and touching history.
Mudlarking would be a great name for a band, says Nazim.
Yes, it would. It would. I don't know what sort of band.
Some Boston comments about the Boston accent. Bob is in Boston.
Yeah.
Is it near? Does lovely Lara not sound like someone who plays in the mud? Asks Carol.
I don't know what someone who plays in the mud would sound like.
I don't know.
less proper, perhaps a little more, maybe Cockney, maybe East Ender.
Maybe, yeah. I could do East Ender if you want that.
Oh, especially if you had the rhymes.
Yeah.
I listened to a whole thing with Idris Elba trying to explain the Cockney, the rhyming thing, so that you get so far away from the actual word that now you're lost without the dictionary. Lara, so I'm a fellow author. And one of the things that we authors are told never to do is go read your reviews because it's a terrible, terrible thing. And I loved every 1-star review of your book. I loved it. Every 1-star review of Lara's book says the same thing. Where are the pictures? There are no plates. This book is rubbish. How come there's no pictures? It was so fascinating because I had then to purchase the book to read some of your descriptions because I'm like, maybe she's crap at descriptions. You're not. These people are greedy. They wanted to see the medieval shoes after you described to them. How fascinating. Were you surprised by that when you looked at that? Or did you look at that?
Do you know
what Instagram's for?
I wasn't. There's 2 editions of my book. There's the UK edition and the American edition. And the American edition doesn't have pictures. Yet. The paperback is coming out very, very soon. And you will all have pictures just like we have over here.
And now I have to have a friend in London send me your book so that I can see pictures now.
But if you go online, if you go to my other Instagram account, which is Lara Maiklem _mudlarking, there are over 600 pictures and videos of, it's all in chapter order. So you can read the book with the Instagram site and you can see absolutely everything that I described. So if you really want, I could never have fitted 600 pictures in a paperback. So you get more value for money doing it that way. But yeah, there are going to be pictures in the paperback, and it surprised me, and it didn't surprise me, I suppose.
Chris, what did your 1-star reviews say?
Oh, such terrible things. Just there's nothing new in this book. It's all common sense. This is all very high level. I was expecting to learn how to, make an account on Twitter and that sort of thing. It's like,
Lara, I could use your outside opinion. So my co-host here reviewed one of my other podcasts that I do of people's hobbies, strictly hobbies, no work talk at all. And he did like 4 stars, but then wrote this amazing review. And I was like, F you. It's not about. And I co-host another show with him. He says he was helping me because nobody would believe if every review was 5-star, and I was like,
do you know one thing I've learned actually from all of this is that the star reviewing on Amazon is just a load of, isn't it? It's meaningless. Some of the people who've reviewed my book claim to have only read 2 pages and then stopped. So how can you review a book if you've only read a couple of pages? I don't know.
Fellow author Karen Putz says 1-star reviews are always entertaining.
They are. They're good comedy value.
Yeah. So now we need to know a few more things. Pipes have been found there. Little pieces of china. What's a stunner? What's something that you said, oh my gosh, I never knew?
Well, there are things that you find you're almost guaranteed to find, and that's pottery. So you find pottery going right back to Roman times, and that's really easy to find. Clay pipes, people didn't have cigarettes; they used clay pipes, and you can date clay pipes really easily from the size of the pipe bowl, because when tobacco first came over around 1580, it was brought over from America by Walter Raleigh. It was really, really expensive, so people couldn't afford much. So the pipe bowls are tiny, they're not much bigger than the size of the end of my little finger. And then as it got cheaper and more tobacco was grown in America and exported, and we bought it, it got much cheaper, and everybody was smoking, and the pipes got much larger, and they were dumped in the river. They were shoveled up from the streets and dumped in the river. So we find loads of those. And another thing we find lots of are handmade pins, and they date right back to medieval times. And you find them all washed together, in areas where there's been lots of people. Maybe they were getting on and off ferries. Maybe it was a place where they were dumping rubbish, and they all tend to wash together. And every single one has been handmade, which is quite incredible. When you look at them, they're little miniature pieces of art. A really special find. Ever since, I've been mudlarking for 15 years. And I've always wanted to find a medieval pilgrim badge, and they're quite rare. We've found more medieval pilgrim badges in the Thames than anywhere else, I think, in the world. And they are basically made of pewter, cast pewter, and they were little badges that people bought when they visited the shrines, and they were very, very cheap. They were like souvenirs, tourist hat, and they'd buy it and they'd pin it on their cloaks or bags or hats to prove that they'd completed their journey. They were good pilgrims, good Christians, and to bring a little bit of the magic of the shrine back with them. And it's thought that when they got back to London, as a thanks for a safe return, they threw them into the Thames. And I've been searching for one of these for, as I say, over 15 years, nearly 20 years now. And this last year, I finally found one, and it was it's the St. Oswald of Salisbury. So it proves that somebody walked all the way to Salisbury, back to London, chucked it in, and it's beautiful. And it was a really sultry, stormy day. There was no one else around, and there he was in the mud, just staring back at me. And that was a magical moment. That was really great. But I should add, I don't use a metal detector. I just use my eyes to look. So everything I find is just lying on the surface.
Wow. And they were St. Oswald. Nazim had a question about whether or not you do this solo, or do you bring people? Is there a tour scenario? What happens?
It's you need a permit to mudlark from the Port of London Authority. So the Port of London Authority, they administer the whole of the tidal Thames. So you're not allowed to just go down there without a permit. You can do tours. There are very, very few organisations that will organise a tour for you. They've got permission to do it. I don't do tours. I go down there for solitude, really, for peace and quiet. So most mudlarks do. It's a London's such a frenetic, crazy place that it is one of the sort of quiet places you can go just to get some peace and quiet. And so most people go down there just to be alone, just for solitude. And I do my socializing elsewhere. I go down there, get away from the kids, get away from work, and that's where I go to chill out.
And can you imagine if you brought a tour group and some dumbass finds this amazing thing?
That you really annoying. Yeah.
He's so annoying. Carol wants to know, what's your routine like? Like, when do you mudlark and how long in one go? And what do you wear? She needs all the details.
Well, like I say, it's tidal. The tides happen twice a day, but they don't always happen. They change throughout the day. So sometimes they're at night. Obviously, it's hard to mudlark at night unless, I do go mudlarking at night with a torch, but I don't usually. So, it depends when the tide falls. So I try to go at least once a week, as often as I can sneak away, really. But yeah, so you get sort of about 2 or 3 hours either side of the low tide where you can get down onto the river safely. Because it's not the safest environment. When the tide comes back in, you can get cut off. So you have to be careful and you have to know your tides. So my routine, I suppose, I always check my tides. I know when the tide turns, decide where I'm going to go. And I literally go and stare at mud for 5 hours. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Did your wife know this before you married? Did she know that your big thing was to go and hide in the mud?
Yes.
Okay.
She's very, yes.
Okay.
Yes. She's very good.
Rex,
I just imagine that conversation.
Not like any of us would have a problem with the other one disappearing for a few hours. Like, sure, honey.
It's probably all the crap I bring back with me. That's the problem.
Well, now your wife can take up drumming because you'll be gone for a few hours. You can practice drumming. This will all work out. Rex wants to know, do you do this all over the world? And what is the strangest place you've been?
Do you know what? I don't. You can mudlark. I mean, theoretically, you can mudlark anywhere. London really is the best place, I think, in the world to mudlark. If the River Seine was tidal, there'd be all sorts of goodies in there, but you can't get down onto it. The beauty of London is that it has these tides and it has the history. So, most places, they're not as old, or they don't have tides. So, I've got the Thames on my doorstep. So why would I go anywhere else? It's the best place in the world to go. But the Thames is 160 kilometres long. So, people think of it as just that little wiggle through central London. It starts in Teddington in the west. It goes right out to the sea. And in the estuary, it's a completely different beast altogether. It's wide and expansive. It's just mud flats as far as you can see. And it's a very different type of mudlarking once you get out there, because there's less stuff to find. But they're still incredible. I mean, I found an complete Iron Age pot, a complete Roman pot. You can find the most incredible things out there.
An Iron Age pot.
Mm.
So people
really
have been
wondering what you wear, by the way. They're desperate to know what you wear while you mudlark.
I wear. It depends where I am. If it's very muddy, I wear my wellies. And if I'm in central London, it's not so muddy. Then I've got a pair of what are they called? Those Australian boots, Blundstones. I just wear boots. A good pair of boots with a good sole, or Wellington boots is all you need.
Do you need gloves and stuff? I would think you don't want to be putting your hands in all that mud, because
you do. I mean, the Thames is clean. It's one of the cleanest urban rivers in the world, but there's still raw sewage going into it. So you do need to wear gloves. I wear gloves. And wash your hands afterwards. So I wear gloves. I wear knee pads because I kneel down quite a lot to get really close to the mud. Backpack, and that's some waterproofs, and you're away. That's all you need.
Get a backpack. Nazim wants to know where you put all this stuff after 15 years.
Yeah, where does it go?
Do you know? I mainly bring back just really small things. I don't bring big stuff back. And when you start mudlarking, you bring everything back, and then once you've been doing it for a while, you leave stuff there, and you only bring back the stuff that's different or a bit better than the stuff you've already got, or if you collect it. So everything I've got fits in. I've got a big printer's chest, and it all fits in there quite nicely. I don't bring the big things home with me, so I'm not. I'm determined not to be one of those mad old women, that has a house filled with stuff, that my kids one day have got to kind of fork out when I die.
Yeah, but an Iron Age pot, I mean, it's not like they're going to be like, oh, honey, another one. Go ahead and bring that home. That's okay to have more than one.
I have actually, in the shelves behind me, I've got quite a few Roman bits of Roman pots. You know, there's some things you just can't bear.
I want to see. Do you have anything close to hand that you could grab?
I've got on my desk. The only thing I've got on my desk at the moment is
bobblehead.
I've got this.
Bobblehead.
I've got this, right? Okay, so prizes for guessing what that is.
Looks to me like a railroad spike or railroad tie, but I'm probably off. Oh, could be a wedge.
Yeah.
No.
But hang on. I know what to do.
Piece of a wagon or something?
There.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, could be a hammer. Or a carpentry tool.
Almost
Axe, I can see that.
No,
sex toy. I don't know.
No. Oh, for rope, perhaps? Is it the thread of a thing for like a sailing ship rope?
No, but that's
all right. I give up.
That's a good
All right.
that's a good guess.
It guess everything.
You know what this is. It's a bone. Okay, so it's been roughly chopped off at the ends, and it is it's probably dates to around the 16th century, and it's a pinner's bone. So the pins I was telling you about, the pins that I was telling you about, each one's handmade, and it's got, you probably can't see, but it's got tiny little grooves. Hang on, let's find the grooves.
Yeah.
Little grooves down. Can barely see them, but there you go.
So
anyway, it's got a groove, and they would have put the pins in there, and then each pin would have been polished and sharpened while it was resting on this, and it's called a pinner's bone. And they're not easy to find. I've got a couple of these, but I found this last year as well, and for some reason it's on my desk still. So
you need to know what you're looking at. So have you studied history then? Because otherwise people might just look at something like that and be like, piece of wood, old door stopper, you know? Mm-hmm. How do you know?
You do, a lot of mudlarking, most of mudlarking is just luck. You know, you happen to be in the right place at the right time when that thing happens to be on the foreshore. Some of it is knowing where to go. And a lot of it's knowing what to look for, because, you walk over a lot of stuff and you don't realize what it is. And the only way you can learn about that is reading books and going to lots of museums and just looking at stuff and talking to other mudlarks. And it's just something that comes with time, really. I didn't study archaeology or history at university. I did anthropology. But, it really is just my hobby. It's just a fascination that, has grown and grown.
I have
terrible guessing. I get a yellow card for my guess.
And out comes the old yellow card, and it's got Gorgone's name written all over it. Oh, she's not happy. She says, "Don't you play that yellow card with me, Brogan."
Terribly sorry, Lara.
He never gets to do that. I very frequently yellow card him for things he says that are.
I say things that are untoward or wrong, naughty.
Says Carol, mudlarking.
Mudlarking. Oh, because you luck into the things. Yes.
Yes.
People have tried to guess your job, and my guess was rock drummer. I thought this was a show with 2 rock drummers on it today, but I'm probably wrong.
No, but I have worked with Kiss. Rock band.
Oh well, like one does.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm actually an editor by trade. I edit books. And I did a book with Kiss, and I went on tour with them, and I went on their Kiss cruise around the Bahamas.
My friend Todd Kearns plays on a lot of those Kiss cruises. When one of the guys can't come, he plays bass for or a guitar, whatever they need him to play. So how fun!
We had a dictionary editor on Monday, Corey Stamper. She specializes in the history of swear words. So, yeah, that was fun.
So you joined quite a crew, Lara.
One more question from Nazim. Have you found objects of interest for the London Museum at the Barbican? I don't know what
Barbican, the Museum of London in the Barbican. If anyone's going to London, that is the museum that I'd recommend they went to. It's got a lot of the stuff that's in there has been found in the river. And they've got a couple of my things. They very rarely take stuff. I mean, the great thing about London is that we've got so much stuff that they just can't take it all. They've got a huge warehouse full of stuff. So, most of the stuff I find I get to keep. It's only the really precious, special stuff that they choose to keep. And the 2 things they've got of mine, I've got a Tudor decorated lace end. It's made of gold that I found. It's part of a mini hoard of gold. And also a leather hat that I found.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Some very cheerful person threw their hat in the Thames, and it's yours this many years later. How fun.
So, and to think littering is a crime, and here it is creating a whole hobby that you can use to learn about history.
the other whole side of mudlarking is how many like cell phones and, you know, crisp bags and all that sort of.
Oh my gosh! In like 300 years, it'll be like, oh look, another Coke bottle.
Yeah,
Yay.
we are the plastic age. You know, that's what we're leaving behind for generations to come.
Truly,
you know,
sadly. Well, we're going to grab Dorothea Taylor back. We're going to ask a couple more quick questions. Dorothea, welcome back.
Chip. Oh, Chip. Chip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Hi,
Dorothea, I was thinking about the fact that people aren't recognizing that you've had to sit quite upright on a drummer's stool this whole time. That's a feat to be on that drummer's stool all this time, isn't it? That's not for hours at a time sometimes.
Yes.
But you're used to it, right?
Well, yeah. The last band that I played with, we played 4 hours, and the lead singer didn't want to lose any of the crowd, so he gave us a 10-minute break one time in 4 hours. And the rest of the time I was sitting on that stool.
What a slave driver. My goodness.
Get somebody to make you a tricked out like special stool that's comfortable for those long ones. Like you could just mention them every once in a while on your TikTok.
Well, you're balancing, you have your feet, you know, on the pedals, and so your butt bones, I don't know what you call them, but those bones are like digging in. And it's like, oh, it hurts.
Through no attempt at comedy, the actual name is sitz bones, SITZ. who would have thunk? But that's what they're called.
Oh,
I'm afraid so.
Cool.
But
Carol wants to know, can you pad it? Like a padded drummer stool?
Well,
that's a good question.
Most of the stools, if you spend money, like this one is supposed to be comfortable. It even has
there's a back. There's a little back. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still not that comfortable, and it's cut out for your legs.
So they're just one of those things that's not going to be that comfortable.
So a question for both of you, because editors easy enough. People could say editor, no one's going to poop on you for that. But Lara and Dorothea, you have roles that people maybe have commented on over time, and they've said, is that really a thing for you to be doing? How do you help people understand that they should assert where they belong and that this is the path for them? I guess I'll ask with Lara first.
Do you know, I've never met anyone who isn't interested in what I do. I've met a lot of older people who think they're too old to do it, or people who've been nervous about going down and giving it a go. I don't know. I mean, I think just just do it. Life's short, isn't it? Just if there's something out there you want to do, just we're not going to come back and give this a second go. Go out and do it. If there's nothing really serious stopping you, then what's the reason not to do it?
Dorothea, how do you tell people to mind their own beeswax? What's your take on that?
I'll tell you something kind of funny. I got married young, and so I left Michigan and playing drums with my new husband at 19. So he probably figured, okay, that's what she did when she was a teenager. And that, once we started having children and all, I wasn't going to be a drummer. But I mean, I remember playing when I was pregnant with the first two. I had a third one later, and I was still a drum instructor at the schools. And it's just something that I feel like I have to do it. And if you out there feel like you just have some things missing in your life that you've always wanted to do, whether it would be mudlarking or whatever, do it, please. There's so many people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're just at home doing nothing. And so I'm trying to keep as active as I can, and playing drums and being the independence that it takes. I think it's good for your brain. And so just do it. Don't just sit and do nothing. I think you die younger that way.
Chip says, I found what was missing in my life when I found this comment section. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you, Chip. Well, and speaking of the comment section, it's time for Person of the Day.
Oh, And here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
It would be understandable by why Chip would be person of the day, but Chip says he doesn't want to be person of the day because there's an added tax to getting one of those apples, and so he doesn't want one anymore. So I am going to award person of the day to Annette, who says, super cool. First time hearing about mudlarking. I can't wait to find out what, I think she'll say, what I will find in the sands of Mont Saint Michel. Either that or she's time traveling again. I can't wait to find out what I found in the sands of Mont Saint Michel. I don't know that you can mudlark in sand, though. I think sand doesn't lend itself to mudlarking.
That's sandlarking.
I think that
Right.
would be beach larking, wouldn't it?
Beach larking.
Oh, there's different types of larking. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here, to be honest. I do.
And this
Carol?
is terrible and so direct. I wonder, do larks even like mud? Is that why it's called mudlarking? What does that
No,
bird?
it's not 'cause it's fun, right? Like a lark? I don't know. What is the
Oh.
origin of the word? No,
We
we
need
need
a
an editor back on the show.
specialist.
You need your dictionary editor back, you know.
I know, we gotta get Corey back.
Anyway, pretend I didn't ask the question. Okay.
Read
The last question of the show before we let you back on your merry way to do much more important things is the backpack show question, which is what goes in your backpack? Now, this can be something physical, like a set of sticks and a pad. It could be something metaphorical, like a sense of adventure. In the past, Dave says he tried mudlarking in Detroit and he didn't find Jimmy Hoffa.
David.
The question of what goes in your backpack, I will go first to Dorothea Taylor. What should go in your backpack? Either something physical or metaphorical for the future.
I bet I know.
Wherever I go, I have a practice pad. I have like 30 practice pads and a pair of sticks. If I go anywhere, there will be these in my backpack when I leave the house. We go camping, we go anywhere out of town. I take this with me. Because if I don't have it, if I happen to not take it for some reason, I feel very naked for the rest of the, the weekend or whatever. So this is my backpack stuff.
It's
Lara.
technically 2 items, but we'll allow it.
I think you need the one to use the
Yeah,
other.
true.
Lara, what in the world would go in your backpack for survival over the next 5 years? What needs to travel with you?
Does it have to be mudlarking, or can it just be?
Not at all. Your
Maybe
life, the world.
Good, because I've actually done quite a lot of backpacking, and the thing that I always take with me is a pot of Marmite.
Ah.
Because it's delicious. It's really good if you're not feeling very well. If you can't find anything to eat, as long as you can get some bread, you put some Marmite on, and it's small and it lasts forever.
That's
Yeah,
Like things you
It's
find at the
right.
bottom of the Thames.
it's very exactly.
Forever.
It tastes a bit like it as well. So yeah, it's as simple as that. It would just be a pot of Marmite because it's really, really useful and it lasts forever. And I always take it wherever I go. And you can get little tiny pots now as well.
lovely.
We have learned a lot today. This has been an eventful day for me and Chip.
Very-
Me and Chip. The
I was
English Nutella, says Nazim.
The English Nutella. That's reasonable to say. And it's Marmite's Vegemite's much better friend.
It is. Yeah.
Vegemite's more like a food people eat on a dare. But
Vegemite doesn't count. It's not real.
no,
Proper. No, you've got to have Marmite. Marmite or
it's
nothing.
got to be Marmite.
Yeah.
That answers your question, Rex. That's what it is.
That's what get your friend Google to tell you. He's so
Google
smart. I was thinking about Dorothea and her drum sticks and her pad is that my grandmother was a crocheter. And we used to joke that the reason she was into crochet was because she lost the other needle, because knitting is 2 and crochet is 1. But if she had knitting needles, what the kids would do is we'd drum with those knitting needles. We couldn't knit, so we would just drum with them. So it ties it all together. But what I would tell you about my grandmother and her approach to digging in the mud